right, hi everyone. So over the last few years since I moved to New York, I've told my bio in a lot of different ways. There's this very serious version where it's in a well-practiced, confident tone, probably what's in your program right now. It's excellent for job interviews. And then there's this post-work at the bar version where I'm probably like nursing this gin and tonic Hendrix, and I'm talking to a stranger, and I'm just sort of patiently nodding, and I'm saying things like, yeah, I'm a real U.S. Marine. I've shot weapons with these tiny hands, and yeah, they do allow women into the Marine Corps. Thank you. And then I have this empowered Beyonce version, which is sort of like the serious one, but I also add on to the fact that I'm the only woman in my family to join the armed services. I'm the only U.S. Marine, I'm the only officer, and I'm the only one that's also born in America. And so as a public affairs officer, my job was to tell the Marine Corps story. And whenever we were stateside, we would have these events with the community, like Marine Week or Fleet Week, and we tried to make the Marine Corps a very interactive experience. It was sort of like going to SeaWorld, but without all that sad Blackfish documentary stuff, right? And so when I was invited to do Storytellers, I wasn't really sure what it was that I wanted to say, because I didn't want to be a resume to you guys, because we always know there's so much more to the story, right? So this is a really popular Marine Corps recruiting commercial. Basically, an attractive white guy opens some doors, and all of a sudden, he's in an American Gladiator-style gauntlet. Whatever. And then, after the gauntlet, he has a sword. Why does he have a sword? Because there's a freaking dragon around the corner. He slays the dragon, and then he's a U.S. Marine. What? And the thing is that I could never be this guy. I knew I would never be this guy. If this was a movie and they were like, oh, we need an actual U.S. Marine, and I showed up, they were like, let's just cast her as the wife or the ninja. But I would never be this guy because I'm me. And there are a lot of things about me that make me me. And one of the things is that when I was in Afghanistan, I was stationed in Camp Leatherneck. It was in the southern area in Helmand Province, right there. And something about me is that I pretty much always had pink toenails, okay? So everyone has their thing. Maybe it's cigarettes or chewing tobacco. Gross. But for me, it was pink toenails. That was just the thing that I needed. But there are a lot of other things that were really difficult in this journey. So when I was at officer candidate school and when I was at the basic school, I was about 100 pounds when I got there, which is about the same amount of weight that I had to carry on my back for several miles at a time. It was incredibly difficult, and I doubted myself pretty much every day. But there are also a lot of things about me that have nothing to do with the U.S. Marine Corps, right? So here's a little insight. Hufflepuff house. That's all I'm going to say, because I took the quiz on Pottermore, so I know that is legit. Animal memes. Why aren't koalas bears? Have we answered that question? This YouTube video of dogs who fail to catch anything, it just gets me every time. I enjoy some karaoke, if you couldn't already imagine that. And little known fact, since I was 9 years old, I could accomplish the rap part to TLC's Waterfalls, which, in hindsight, given the subject matter of that song, that's pretty awkward, but we're just going to let that one slide. But, so there are just a lot of things that are part of my life, and were part of how I just enjoyed going about living. So I was hired on to The Daily Show with Jon Stewart a couple years ago, now The Daily Show with Trevor Noah. And I was a part of their first run of their Veteran Immersion program, which was a way for them to introduce veterans into the world of television. And one day, as I was still new, very nervous, quiet morning, at my desk, doing my thing, Jon Stewart walks around the corner and just scares the shit out of me, right? So I actually scream in his face. Why did you do that? I scream in his face, which startles him, and then he says something like, Justine, what is wrong with you? You've been to war. Why are you screaming at me? And of course, it's a comedy show, right? So you're always trying to just throw in a joke whenever you can. And I say something horrific. I say, I'm sorry, Jon Stewart. You just remind me of an IED because you have an explosive personality. Why did I say that? That was terrible. That is not the thing that you say to Jon Stewart. And I said that. But then he laughed. And I didn't know if it was out of discomfort or pity, but it was this magical moment when I made one of my heroes actually laugh. So what do, right? You text it to all of your friends. So one of the times I told that story to someone, he saw something else. And that was what was really difficult for me, because he saw something and he connected it to how I was also just easily startled in general, and how I would sometimes have trouble sleeping, and I would just binge watch Netflix, and when I could finally actually go to sleep, I would then be shaken awake at 3 in the morning screaming, and he just tied it into all of these things that I was going through. And he just made me see things in myself that I never wanted to see, and that's still really hard to talk about. So this is a quote that's really important to me. There's just something really powerful about being an ordinary person who becomes stronger because of how they endure difficult things. And this has been a really difficult year for me, believe it or not. I know what it's like to come back from deployment even years later and still struggle. To lose a friend or two to suicide, or to lose a friend to a horrible accident and wish that it was you instead. And to wish that you could just change whatever it is in the universe to make that one thing not happen so that you could just hurt a little less. But what I've learned is that I'm not alone in this sort of struggle. And I learned that by just being a little bit more honest with what it was that I was going through. And I found friends that are going through the same thing. And it's either I'm not alone, or I just have a very weird talent for finding a specific group of friends to end up with at brunch. But it was a beautiful thing to realize I wasn't alone. It's sort of like how you would listen to sad songs that make you feel worse, but in a good way. And they were probably written by like the Counting Crows or R.E.M. or the Coldplay or the Smiths. It was just like that. And one of the things also about me is that I ride a bike to work every day. And I know what you're thinking, she's a Marine, she rides a motorcycle. But it's actually a city bike because that is a pretty sweet deal. And when I ride south to north up the West Side Highway, I always pass this building. And to me, in my head, that's the Disney building. They have magic there. I'm going to go there one day, sing my rendition of Part of Your World, and become a Disney princess. But deep down, I know that it's actually the Department of Sanitation for New York, which is like the furthest thing from Disney. But that's just how my head works, because I'm me. And I am many things, as we all are. We are creatives, we are artists, we're comedians, we have stories to tell, and we struggle. But we're also fierce and brave and lovely. And despite the stigmas that surround anxiety and depression, it was just important for me to know that we can have the conversation that we are not alone. So one of the things that I've noticed as I've gone through this journey and taken on a lot of different civilian roles is that a lot of times we become restricted to this list of generalizations because of our military service. You know, so it's like, you like to take orders and crush things and show up 15 minutes early, and you like to carry anything that's heavy, no matter what it is, whatever you're wearing, give me some sort of weight to carry. But to me, what I believe is that our military careers, they don't define us by any means, but they empower us towards the future and to what we're yet to be, and that's what's really important. So in my life, too, sometimes I felt like that the mission that I was given to fight was a lot easier than fighting for myself. And that's a difficult thing to deal with, because I still want to be something that's greater than myself. And then some days, that's easy, because I don't think that much about myself some days. But other days, it's important for me to know that I'm not alone. And I know that everyone's experience is different, and what I've shared today is kind of the first time I've actually said some of these sort of things, but I really hope that in some way, somehow, it helps someone feel less alone. because the way that I've persevered in this life to continue to serve and how I've chosen the path I've taken in comedy or with television and just the things that make me me, those are the things that remind me that I am living. My name is Justine Cabulong, and I am a United States Marine Corps veteran. Thank you.